sending them both the PowerPoint one and the other one for me. What am I sending? What Rachel? Sent you about the order of the slides. Sent you about the order of the We'll be starting in about 10 to 10 minutes. We'll be starting in about 10 to 10 minutes. We'll be starting in about 10 to 10 minutes.
During other, anything else?
This
Digital weight. During other, anything else?
this
Digital weight. During other, anything else? Digital weight. These are sacred.
no.
Okay.
No. No.
Okay.
No. Get my pen. Get my pen. Eric to come, but he was having about coming. I'm like, at least if you're taking care of it, Eric's going to come, but he was having. I went to work about coming. I'm like, oh, I know. Although it might be a little more, a little more angry. At this point, I think we're all pretty angry. Yes, and scared. Kim might be singer night. Yes, and scared. Kim might be singer night. Yes, and scared. Yes, I should have given you that. Yes, I should have given you that. Well, oh, you did that one in your face. You did that one in your face. There. All right, go. What's the new email address? There we go. And then what's the new email address? Okay. Know what I'm like, because like they're after. Know what I'm like, just 15, they're after. Okay, TikTok, wanna big screen for a minute. Okay, TikTok, wanna big screen for a minute. Or the new, or, yeah, it's very sad. Very sad situation. They don't have to be watching. Yeah, it's very sad. It's a sad situation. Okay. Starting here for too long. Little bit. Starting here for too long. Little bit. Campbell is not going to be happy with that. It's waving all on its own. Yeah. It's waving all on its own. Yeah. Stay right there. Stay right there. Just not very strict, but we'll use it instead. Hey, Chris. Just thanks for catching my bad spelling. Thanks for catching my bad spelling. There, that's better. Much more stable for everybody. If I get to where you can see the whole screen. There, that's better. Much more stable. Oh, I've got I'm really not sure if I have anything. He has just stuff going on in the background. I've got this line we're gonna use. I'm really not sure. He has just stuff going on in the background. I've got this line we're gonna use. It's too bright in here right now for him. It's too bright in here right now. We need to find what they're gonna do. I just have to need to find where sounds okay. Invite helper. You're fine. Wait, okay. Invite helper. You're fine. Wait, okay. I mean, we still have to say. Oh. People. I'm singing. If you're oh, I'm singing. If you're oh, I'm singing. Those people streaming and oh, sorry for getting started late, everybody.
Hey man, is it a good crowd?
What?
Is it a good crowd?
I'll turn the camera on. Show you.
Hey man, is it a good crowd? Is it a good crowd?
I'll turn the camera on.
That looks pretty good. Hey man, is
Yeah,
it a good
not
crowd?
bad.
What? Is it a good maybe 30? That looks pretty good.
Not bad. You think there's
Maybe 30?
at least maybe two.
That looks pretty good.
started a living wage. Started a living wage. Right. I will right at the beginning. Social media. Right. And like. I will right at the beginning. Social media. That's next, right? I get social media. That's next, right? You're in the back. No. What about now? Yeah. Okay, we're gonna try to. What about now? Good. My husband. Sit down. Okay, we're gonna try that. What about now? Good. My husband. Sit down. Bear with me today. My name is Lori. I want to be sure I tell you that because we got one of the helpful postcards we got from last time said that we were not announcing our names and that you didn't know who we were. So I appreciated you saying that. So the steering committee and the team leaders this evening that are here have name tags on. So feel free to ask any of us questions. So, and thank you for that comment. Yeah, bear with me tonight because it has been, as you know, a crazy, crazy week. And so our heads are spinning. And I know that yours probably are as well. So we're just gonna jump in. Okay, we have a few different things to do tonight. So stop us if you have questions, concerns, anything you want to talk about. Yeah, we're living in a crazy, unlawful, and violent world right now. And it's a time that our families, I think, will be, the future generations will be reading about and talking about for a long time. And that's assuming that we are able to keep records about what's going on and assuming that we haven't, you know, burned up the earth in all of this. So we're trying to be positive, but also realize all the challenges that we have ahead of us. So right now we have a president that has made himself and his family wealthy Wow, taking more and more from the people that he was elected to serve. We want to acknowledge that he was elected to serve, not to reign, and he was to serve us, we, the people. Now he's taken over the Department of Justice to use them as personal lawyers and to go after the people that he hates. He is sending the military in the neighborhoods with the claim of false wars. He's provoking violence and then blaming it on anyone that does not agree with him. We know that he holds a lot of power, almost all of the power, because he has the Republican Congress, and they have allowed and encouraged him to do what he's doing. But we do believe he's made one fatal mistake, and that mistake is that he's underestimated us. He's underestimated our outrage, our courage, and our determination. On October 18th, in our nonviolent but powerful and historical protest, we intend to show him what we think of him and his destruction and disrespect of our government, our government. We intend to show him the power that we, the people, still hold. So now I'm going to ask Lisa and Kim to come up and talk about the rally that we have planned. Also, up on the screen, we're going to have there are two programs that you can sign up for under indivisible.org, and they are trainings, like safety trainings for the rally. There are two different dates, so that's kind of what's on the screen.
Okay, for No King's Day 2.0, we're having just one event in Marietta, Muskingum Park, noon to 2 on October 18th. Couple of reasons. Somebody posted on Facebook, couldn't have one in Parkersburg. Sorry. National has asked that if there's one within 30 minutes of you, you go to that one. They don't want a bunch of small events thrown all over the place. They want to concentrate it. So, that's one reason that we're only having one. Another reason we're only having one is that Marietta is really the only venue for a large rally in this area. Parkersburg does not have an appropriate place for a rally. They have places to protest, but for a rally where you're going to need a sound system and so forth, you have to get a permit. And in order to get a permit in Parkersburg, you need to apply at least 30 days in advance, and you have to have insurance. You can't get liability insurance for a political rally right now, okay? Even if we had the money, we still probably could not get the insurance. So Marietta only requires what?
Just the park permit. $25 for us to rent the gazebo for the amount of time that we need, and then that's it. Then during the rally, and it's been to one that we've had, and what we will do is we will stand under speakers, and we will music and just the community basically for roughly about an hour or so, and then because it is in such a great location, it's great to be able to march down in the big group to the Putnam Street Bridge and line the bridge and there too. It's just a really, really good place. Now I will say parking is not the best, but anywhere you go, it's going to be that way. So we're making sure and requesting that everybody try to find a carpool
That way parking, is a little easier. Food donations, yeah. We are also, because we are trying to build community, because we're gonna need everybody. There are people that are going to be hurting, especially now that we've got this shutdown going on. So we are collecting food and non-perishable and paper goods to donate to, the Gospel Mission in Marietta and the Big Church here in Parkersburg. Well, there's some other things that National has had a couple of Zoom meetings about this rally. And one of the things they're doing that they have never done before is they're requiring us to submit a safety plan in writing to the national organization, and they have to approve our safety plan. We've got to have someone who's heading up our security team, and we have to have safety marshal. We need volunteers to do safety marshaling. I wrote a post about this. Basically, safety marshal, it's not a difficult thing. It's like a combination of traffic crossing guard, like school traffic crossing guard, and a hall monitor. And okay, you're there to look after the people that are there to attend the protest. Help them locate the bathroom if they need that. Help them if we've got to cross the street, which if we line the bridge on both sides, somebody will have to cross the street. So I need volunteers for that. I have a couple. We need more. We have someone who's volunteered to be our security guard. And so there's some training that's involved. Basically, if anything starts to escalate, you go get the head of security or someone that is trained to de-escalate the situation. Right now, they are asking us, no weapons. It doesn't matter if you have a concealed carry permit, we do not want any weapons of any kind at the protest. Please, how would I put this? Please don't use profanity on your sign. I know you think we're restricting free speech. The idea is we do not want to give them any handle to come after us, okay? We want to keep it clean, we want to keep it safe, we want to keep it family friendly. Don't go throwing your middle finger at people that go by and yell things, okay? Right now, with the way things are, that might get someone shot, okay? We want to be peaceful. We want to show that there's no reason for them to shut us down. We don't want to give them any excuse to come after us and to say that we were out of bounds or we were unlawful or we were out of order. So, I know these are a little different, I won't call rules, but requests that we haven't made before, but this is coming from national, okay? If you see people whether it's maybe somebody on our side, maybe somebody from the other side, if you see people starting to get in an argument or confrontation, get a safety marshal, okay? Disengage, walk away from them. We don't want any conflict happening that could escalate into something that gets someone hurt. Someone had a question? Yes. 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 They will be wearing the, bright yellow, orange vest, like traffic, You'll have been to some of the protests, we've had them out. Yeah, so the safety marshals will be wearing those, so you'll be able to tell who they are, and you can tell who to go to first. We're having another sign making event next Tuesday night, 4 to 8 at the Emerson Library in the boardroom downstairs. Something else. Oh, Yeah, the Emerson branch of the Parksburg Wood County Library. Right. Um, of the sign making, October 7th, 4 to 8. That's next Tuesday, 4 to 8. Right. Okay. So there'll be two more sign making events, and we'll get the word out on, look on Facebook for it. There is a training, a Zoom training that people should attend on Know Your Rights. Okay? A couple of things that you should do to stay safe during a protest. One very important thing is leave your phone in the car. If you take your phone into the protest, do not have your biometrics enabled. You should not ever have your biometrics enabled on your phone right now. Because if you do, the police can see everything on your phone without a warrant and without your permission. If you don't have the biometrics turned on and you have a passcode, they cannot get into it without a warrant. Biometrics, facial recognition, fingerprints. Yeah. So if you have a passcode, they cannot get into your phone without a warrant. That's kind of important. Yes. So, yes. I recommend you have your phone in the car, but if you do have it, that's fine. But it can also escalate things if you're not subtle about it. So it's kind of a two-edged sword. I would leave it up to the safety marshal to do the recording. And I know people need their phones, so we're not telling you not to bring it, but if you do bring it, I recommend you have your biometrics off.
Still 2 weeks away. I will be going and talking to Marietta PD, or having another liaison person that can do that as well, to make sure that we have them. We have had them patrolling or sitting there at all the protests that we've done. So we'll make sure they're there. This is not to scare anybody. So we just want to make sure that everybody stays safe. Personally, I don't feel that our area is in a targeted area, obviously because we are in a red area. But just to be on the safe side, just everybody make sure of your surroundings. We'll keep it light, we'll keep it fun, and we'll just make sure everybody, feels welcomed and part of the community.
And I will say, Utah's a very red area, and they've had a couple of people killed there, not just Kurt, but they had a protester got killed in Salt Lake City. And so, you just never know. Okay, so let's, stay safe and know your rights. Another reason we're not having another protest is I'm going to be out of town not out of town, but I'm gonna have guests from out of town, from the 8th through the 18th, and they're leaving at noon on the 18th. So I'm gonna kind of be busy. Yeah. Okay. So you can go to indivisible.org and you can find trainings. They have all kinds of trainings, but they have trainings specifically for this to cover your safety aspects and your rights, knowing your rights. Unfortunately, like the first Snow Kings Day, when Parkersburg Pride had the Pride Fest, this Snow Kings Day is falling into another Pride event.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how random that ended up, but on October 18th in the evening, so you can go to both, they are having their annual Halloween bingo night. So it's bingo, they've got prizes, and then in between they have a drag show going on at the same time. So it's really fun. They have tons of tickets left. They're trying to sell tickets. Another option that you have, if you'd like to sponsor a game, you can do that as well. It costs $50 to $100, and then they will shout you out on Facebook. And then during the show, you can also donate any like cool stuff, like like they had at the Democratic picnic, because they're also doing an auction as well. And if anybody is interested in that, I have a flyer about sponsoring the event and who to email about that. I've got plenty, so if you're interested, you can just find me and I'll get you set up.
So next, Grace Bailey and Joan are gonna talk to us about merchandise. Through Indivisible, we are not allowed to sell anything, unfortunately. We can take donations for things like the pins that we have, but we're not allowed to sell them. So they're gonna tell us about the way that you can get t-shirts, apparel, if you're interested.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Gracie. I'm with the recruitment committee, and this is Joan. So I'm just doing this the old school way. Can you hear me okay? Where you could take an order form, and we're going to have a one lady Facebook page. So you can print off an order form and sign up a seat to record what you want. And then I'm just going to collect the money like tax at our meetings or our events, and then turn in the orders. But there's what an order form, and they announce the donation. $5 for each shirt goes to the organization. Will be donated. So anyone have any questions? Which organization is this for the moment? indivisibleMOV. Okay.
And just a quick note, the one you have up here on the screen, a little bit blurry here, they're actually a really vibrant blue color and a soft gray. They have a special one that has the MOV design on it as well. And then for every single item, the prices are up here. We do have extended sizing for everything. And then $5 for, like Jeff said, every single item there goes directly back to our local MOV chapter and the donation. So there are a lot of things that yeah. They're about 50% cheaper than ordering from the main Indivisible website. I bought a t-shirt from there, paid shipping and taxes, and it was $40. And with these, for your donation for $20, you don't have to pay it. And we'll be happy to do cash for that. We have our order forms here if you want to take it home and think about it. That's okay too. And then in addition to that, we'll just bring them to our next meeting, or we can pick up at certain different times around the area. Thank you.
Okay, now we're gonna pass on this part. Actually, the postcards are in front of you probably, the ones with the messages already on them. And Lisa is gonna pass out some names and addresses. Each person, everybody need one of them. Should have one postcard and one name and address. What's here?
Where's my camera? This is what they're talking about. Yeah, but I get mine to her. Over here. Alright, Katie and Trish, this is what they're talking about.
And while they're handing them out, I'll just tell you, these postcards will be sent to Democratic voters in Virginia. This project has been sending postcards to swing states and to Democrats they're trying to encourage to get out and vote. So you can see that they don't have a specific official on there that we're telling them about. These have news stories, so each postcard they've sent has had a separate news story on it. So what we're gonna ask you to do is, with the name and address you got, to fill in the voter's name and address where it goes on the postcard. And, after you've done that, there is a message on the left, and we were instructed not to veer from that. We should write it down word for word. So you just put in your voter's specific first name, and then you sign your first name. But besides that, the message is word for word. Now, don't mess with your index card right now, that's for something else.
Here, did you not get a name and address?
No.
Anyone
were supposed
not
to
have a name and
have,
address?
Jeff.
Jane,
There we
you don't
go.
have a name and address?
Things that I can, I think for me here.
Oh, there's some extra names. Okay, extra postcards? Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone would like to do two, we've got a bunch more.
Yeah, anyone want to do two? Yeah, so just, if you don't mind, keep your hand up and they'll come around and give you whatever you need. Yeah, have you leave them on the tables and we'll pick them up after. We also, I know I got some information from them today, and they have still a lot of postcards to do, so we can even do this project again if we want to. It's a good way to get messages out. No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're gonna collect them all and put the postage on them and send them all into same.
Okay.
But thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta do it. It's big but pretty.
If you have a, if you would wanna put just a check mark on the names that you completed, the people that you sent a postcard to, addressed a postcard to, if you just wanna check off that name, then we'll know for sure. Just put a check on the postcard by and you on the address. Sorry, that's not clear. On the name and address, if you just wanna put a little check. If you don't, it doesn't matter, we'll probably go through the line. Like, set up, I'll let you know that there's some good information on the table, when you leave. There are some packets that, well, to like 4 pages that have been put together. Some are for West Virginia and some are for Ohio. And those were put together by Rachel Craddock. She's incredible. She can't attend in person, but she watches on Zoom and she's helped us with a lot of things. Those give a lot of good information about who our elected officials are, how to contact them, some good sites to follow. Just a lot of good information. So feel free to pick up one of those as you leave. Make sure you get, your correct state papers. Now, if you're finished, and you can finish if you're not, but, on the blank index card that you have, we are asking you to write down, think of 3 people that you could speak to and invite to the rally. 3, and not just, these are 3 people that you are gonna commit to inviting. And we're not gonna come and check their home and make sure you've done it. Please stay, you're right. But just 3 people that you will commit to contacting about the rally. And then we're asking that after you contact them once, that you follow up one time and remind them. So even if they say no, unless they said it in a really harsh way, to just, contact them again and say, I know we talked about it, but there's been a little time gone by, have you reconsidered or, we'd still love for you to go. And then say, no, leave me alone. That's a hard no. But 3 people that you will commit to asking. So that will be for you to take home on that index card. And we're gonna do something else on the back of that in a little while. So your cards that will be mailed out and the people's names and addresses, just leave those please on your tables. We're gonna collect them at the end, okay? Now, Sue Ellen is gonna come up. And she's gonna talk to us about a few things. Act Blue, fundraising, which I'll go ahead and mention, we really need a fundraising committee. So anybody that is good at that we need you desperately. If you know anybody that's good at that, if you will talk to them about it, and, you know, we need help, specifically with that group and with networking. People to network for us, but Sue Ellen's gonna talk to us about all the money. Well, you already covered part of what I was gonna cover, so thank you. Money, money, money. We can't do what we're doing without funds to take care of it. I am kind of pleased to report that we gained one new online member yesterday, and so far tonight, we've gained 2 more online donations. And all of these, I believe, were recurring donations. We pledge to pay a certain amount every month. It doesn't have to be a large amount. We know budgets are tight. Probably going to get a little bit tighter, so you don't really know what's coming in and what's maybe going out. But we're going to ask anyway, because we have a total of 7 donors online now on the Food Truck program. That's roughly $140-ish. Got the numbers from today. But we've got a $500 budget monthly. And your leadership team came through. It's a very conservative estimate of what our expenses are per month. For example, to rent this room tonight, costing us $75. To rent the room in Marietta that we had last month was $200. That doesn't count the refreshment. That doesn't count the water or the signs that we hand out at our protest, like the one coming up on October 18th. It doesn't cover our Zoom expenses, our workplace expenses, our texting program, our office supplies, pens, pencils, index cards. We need your help. Even if it's a small account and maybe you can't do it tonight. Take one of these sheets with you home. Think about what your budget says, and maybe you can give us a helping hand. Because we don't want to cut back on what we're doing. We want to expand. And with what's happening at the national stage, we need to expand. We need your help to do that, because the leaders have been doing most of the donating of all of these materials and costs themselves, and we are getting bigger, so it's costing more. I hope you will understand that. If you have any questions with the QR codes, this is the wrong one, but you get the gist. You've got one on a page. Can't quite figure out how to do it. One of us will help you. In addition, actual links to our ACLO donation page are on all of our social media accounts. And you can go home, you can call it up, and you can open up the donation page there. So we encourage you to give us just a little money and then some of your time, because as Lori pointed out, we need volunteers as well. And when you think of fundraising, you might think of bingo games and raffles and bake sales, and we aren't allowed to do it through this, because we have to follow the federal election rules, what is and is not an approved way to raise money. Basically, we can ask you for money. We can post requests for money on our social media pages. And there is a very small chance that we might actually qualify for grants that the National Indivisible Organization offers, which is one of the reasons why we need a donation of our fundraising committee. We need people, particularly detail-oriented people, to go through the very fine print on the donation forms and figure out what we can apply for and what we can't. And I have to thank Jan Fitton, who's already started on this project for us. She's done a great job. But this has to be an ongoing thing, and it's not guaranteed, which is why we're making the push for individual donation. So I will be around. Like I said, anybody wearing a name tag, almost anybody wearing a name tag,
and give you help with the scanning or point you in the right direction if you have any questions. One question that's frequently asked is, what if I sign up for a recurring donation and then I can't give anymore? My husband lost his job. You can go in and cancel a recurring donation at any time. Very easy to do, and I can guide you through it if you don't. So we appreciate all the donations that we've had so far. We have our cash donation box backed by the pins that Amanda has graciously made for us. We have scan cards on the table and also the stand up, stand by the people. So we'd appreciate any help you can give. Thank you.
And now I think Amanda is gonna kind of lead us through the use of the link tree for people who aren't familiar with that. And then QR code. The QR code leads you to the link tree.
Well, we didn't get our meeting place for next month down in time to have the flyers today, like I usually do, but the flyers that you guys have been seeing at each meeting has a QR code at the bottom of it. And get this one looked up for me. All right, and the QR code, here's one on a pen. This one says MOV social media, calendar, contacts, and more. And all this is just this links to a website called Linktree. Most phones, you open the camera and it sees the QR code, it's going to find it and it brings up the page. You'll see at the top, if you want to share, there's the button to share. But really, we don't want this to be overwhelming for anybody. It's just a hub for everything. If you just want to be able to watch our live Zoom meeting, you can click on Zoom. You'll have a link there. Ignore all that stuff. You just click the one that says Zoom meeting, just that simple. You just click that. You don't need any of that other stuff. The Act Blue there, it opens it directly to the Act Blue. And we have our online calendar, which we have a couple different versions of that. I think mainly because of me, for some reason, it wouldn't work in one of mine. Then we have our social media. If you're on any social media, you should be on it as well. And then there's the Signal app, which a lot of people don't really know what the Signal app is. I have a thing on there that kind of tells you a little bit about it. It's just a very secure way for all of us to keep in contact with each other. We have multiple chats open on there for different specific things. Like if you're on one of our committees, there's for that committee. If you just want to stay current with what's going on, there's one for that as well. At the very bottom is the fill out the contact info, which most of you here have probably already seen this and already done that. Really, Signal, you don't have to sign up for anything. You don't have to download anything. It's just a QR code you scan. Everything's in one place. The little cute logos at the top, those are the different social medias, then you have to then going down through it. Anybody have any questions about Linktree? All right. Yep.
This new presentation is, the information was given to us by Rachel Craddock, and I'm, again, just really grateful to her. She's an incredibly smart person, and she has done a lot of research on all of these issues. This is about a 15-minute presentation, And if you will, bear with me, I think it's really worth it.
Yes, thank you, Rachel.
Okay, big talk. I'll try to coordinate myself and click. All right, so the presentation was originally going to be about the history of authoritarianism and what it looks like today. But if you're paying attention, which I imagine you are because you're here in this room, you can see we are already living under an authoritarian government. There are attempts to silence dissent. Check. Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel are our most prominent examples. There are attempts to rig the upcoming midterm elections. Texas started it, and other red states are trying to continue it. But luckily, California is trying to counteract it. There are attempts to turn the military on American citizens, especially as of yesterday with the absolutely disgusting speech from Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump to a room full of several hundred military leaders who, it looked like, were decidedly not really pleased to be there. There is deliberate disregard for truth in favor of creating a new delusional reality. Just listen to anyone in the administration, what they say as for an example of this. It's usually the literal opposite of what is going on. There is dehumanization of groups of people in an attempt to create division and have a scapegoat. Immigrants, trans people, and now even just Democrats are examples of this. Our democracy, that is our ability to have a say in who runs our government and how they do so, and the institutions that have helped us function as a country, like the Social Security Administration, the CDC, the Department of Education, are hanging on by too few threads, and it hasn't even been a year of Trump 2.0 yet. So it's easy and understandable to be overwhelmed by what's going on and to feel helpless to stop it. But like we said, this is by design. So we want you to remember in I think it was 2019, Steve Bannon was talking about flooding the zone. He said, all we have to do is flood the zone. Every day we'll hit them with 3 things. They'll bite on one and we'll get all of our stuff done. These guys will never recover. The truth is that we, the people, are the strongest guardrail protecting democracy and each other. And this administration desperately needs us not to believe that, so they can more easily ram their haphazard plans to consolidate power. I know doing little things, which are really about the only size of things we have access to in a small area like the Mid-Ohio Valley, those things often feel inconsequential or even pointless when we take in the magnitude of the hurt and the destruction that the Trump administration has caused, is causing, and will continue to cause. But when everyone does what they can, it really does add up. All our actions build on each other, and together they can outweigh the power of those at the top. Don't just take our word for it. Here are quotes from people who would know. Historian Howard Zinn, most well known for his book, A People's History of the United States, said, "We don't have to engage in grand heroic actions to participate in change. Small acts, when multiplied by millions of people, can transform the world." Anthropologist Margaret Mead said, this is one of my favorite quotes, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. It is the only thing that ever has. An activist and folk singer, Joan Baez, said, "Action is the antidote to despair." So let's look at some actions you can take to fight despair and fight authoritarianism. So, what can I do? A Call and a Guide to Anti-Authoritarianism Action by Rachel Craig. You can build community and resist dehumanization. Historian John Bradley Lestrange says that community is the opposite of fascism, and it's true. Fascism and any other kind of authoritarianism depends on an us versus them mentality to get people to hate each other instead of hating what the people at the top are doing to us. So get to know your neighbors, even if it's just to determine that they are not on the same page as you. That's important information to have. Work to build bridges with those you disagree with, or at least try not to burn the bridges unless absolutely necessary. To have the big tent approach we keep saying we need, we must reject purity testing, which is when, for example, when we expect all Democrats to believe exactly as we do. Get involved in local political organizations, of course, but historian Timothy Snyder, in his book on tyranny, 20 Lessons from the 20th Century, which I'll be referencing a lot in this presentation, and it's the book we recommended last time, so I hope a lot of you have been able to read that. If not, we still say please read it. 20 Lessons from the 20th Century also encourages people to get involved with non-political groups like book clubs, hobby clubs, because this will often expose us to different opinions and points of views within a relatively safe context. This exposure helps us find common ground with people we may not have tried to do that with otherwise. It also helps us avoid echo chambers, which can lead us to demonize people we don't agree with and to fall into a damaging habit of purity testing, even those we do overall agree with. Another way to resist dehumanization is by exposing yourself to varying points of view and to read. Read fiction, nonfiction, trash, literary, science fiction. Read all of it. Reading voraciously, yes, even listening to audiobooks, that counts. Keep your mind open while you do so, and that is also an act of resistance. Next, learn how to fact check and be responsible for the role you play in our communication ecosystem. Timothy Snyder says, since in the age of the internet we are all publishers, each of us bears some private responsibility for the public sense of truth. He also says that post-truth is pre-fascism. No, you're likely not a journalist, but in the age of social media, we each have platforms and a chance to use them to spread accurate information. This is becoming more and more important as the Trump administration actively tries to create their own alternate reality. Check out AdFont's Media News Literacy Project and avoid falling into conspiratorial thinking and posting by remembering these two philosophical principles. Occam's razor, which says, the simplest explanation is usually the one closest to the truth. And Hamlin's razor is never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity. When there's breaking news, wait for more information to come before you freak out and don't engage in public speculation until you know more. Support independent media. It seems like the truth tellers are all flocking there. Remember the old adage that knowledge is power, and seek to be powerful in that way by learning how to determine a solid news source. And the papers that I mentioned over here that you can take, they have some suggested sources. Okay, don't underestimate the usual political actions, they add up too. As abolitionist Wendell Phillips said, eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. We must actively protect our democracy, and we cannot take it for granted, let it coast, and expect it to stay strong. That's what Germany did when Hitler came to power. They assumed their way of government would hold without actually acting to make sure it would hold. We need to attend protests, participate in targeted boycotts, like with Target, Tesla, vote in every single election, run for office, if for no other reason than to make sure the Republicans are not running unopposed. Make them work for it. Be a poll worker. Yes, we believe there will be elections, and signing up to be a poll worker helps ensure that they continue to be safe. Show up to your city council meetings and make your voice heard. Contact your Republican elected officials until they are sick of you. Praise them if they ever do anything good. It's important to reinforce that behavior if you want to see it from them, even if they still generally suck. Remember big phone bank, write letters, send postcards for campaigns and causes that you care about, like the governor's races in New Jersey and Virginia, or Californians vote to redraw their maps for more Democratic seats to offset Texas's Trump demanded redraw. Learn U.S. history and about how the government works so you can have a wider perspective on and understanding of current events. Learn about nonviolent resistance. It's not just a moral stance, it's an effective strategy. Decide what you're willing to sacrifice for your country. And we ask you to really think about that. It's better to sacrifice something now than to sacrifice everything later. What can you give to or for the resistance? Time, maybe volunteering instead of going on a vacation. Money, donating to federal and local causes and campaigns that need support. Comfort, forcing yourself to pay attention to what's going on so that you don't become complacent. Convenience, like shopping at a different store because there is a targeted boycott. These are just some examples, but there are so many iterations of sacrifices, big and small, that matter, and they will always be very individual. The first lesson in Timothy Snyder's On Tyranny is, do not obey in advance. This is another form of sacrifice, namely comfort, and it's crucial. Snyder's an expert on 20th century European history, which of course includes the rise of Hitler and Nazi Germany. And he makes it very clear that a lot of the atrocities committed during the Holocaust would have been seriously slowed down and sometimes maybe even stopped if both ordinary people and those working for the government hadn't been so afraid of Hitler that they did what they thought he wanted without him even having to ask. An example of obeying in advance is being afraid that free speech will be taken away and then beginning to censor yourself in anticipation of that, usually as an attempt to protect yourself, but it doesn't work. Whatever you do, don't do that. Snyder says that doing this teaches power what it can do. The American people taught the Trump administration recently that it cannot use the government to suppress free speech. They expressed their outrage over the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel and moved en masse to delete their Disney accounts and cancel Disney Vacation. It's exhausting, but we have to keep this up. If we give them an inch, they'll demand mile after mile. Next, prioritize self-care along with your community or nation care. You can't resist as effectively if you're dead, if you are run down or burned out. Take breaks from the news and seek some joy so you don't burn out and so you remember what you're fighting for. Take care of your health. Get your vaccines. Mask up. Clean the air so you don't get sick or get others sick. Practice mindfulness. Be aware of the present moment, your emotions, and your body sensations without judging yourself. Move your body in ways that feel good. Get good sleep. Learn how to tolerate uncertainty and distress. That last one will also help you resist the temptation of conspiracy theories. Sarah Kubrick, an existential psychologist, says, if you don't have all the information, stop filling in the blanks with your imagination, your fears, or projections. It's better to learn to sit with an unclear picture than to carry around an inaccurate one. Both cognitive and dialectical behavioral therapies can help you move your window of tolerance to uncertainty and distress. And you don't necessarily have to work with a therapist to learn the skills that these therapies offer. There are good workbooks you can go through by yourself and plenty of online resources. But one-on-one therapy can be good, especially with a therapist who understands the stress of the moment that we're in. Don't knock it till you try it. Keep in mind that watching traumatic events on social media, like political violence and immigration, abduction, can cause you to feel like you're the one experiencing the events. Remind yourself that it's not you. Remind yourself that you are currently safe so that you can act to help those who truly are not safe. And last but not least, avoid doomerism by focusing on hope as an action. Political and climate activist and author Rebecca Solnit writes a lot about hope, and this quote feels like a good place to end and encapsulate her thinking very well. Quote, when you recognize uncertainty, you recognize that you may be able to influence the outcome. You alone, or you in concert with a few dozen or several million others. Hope is an embrace of the unknown and the unknowable, an alternative to the certainty of both optimists and pessimists. Optimists think it will all be fine without our involvement. Pessimists adopt the opposite position. Both of those excuse themselves from acting. It is the belief that what we do matters, even though how and when it may matter, who and what it may impact, are not things we can know beforehand. We may not, in fact, know them afterwards either, but they matter all the same. And history is full of people whose influence was most powerful after they were gone. The future is unknowable, and rather than letting that be a source of anxiety, we must work to let that turn into hope that moves us to action. As America's government teacher Sharon McMahon says, the best way to predict our futures is to create them. So what kind of future do we want to create? All right. So again, thank you, Rachel, for doing that for us. All right, now, oh, yeah. That's a great idea, yeah. Yeah, we'll try to post that on our website. Okay, now you have the index card at your table, the one that you put the 3 names on. On the back of that, we would like you to write down 2 chants that you would like to use at the rally. 2 chants. Think of 2 chants and write them down. You could make up one if you don't know one.
You kind of bring together with the people around you, in front of you or behind you, wherever. Okay. And then we're gonna have the little small groups of you demonstrate your chant. You're gonna love it. And then the rest of us are gonna say it back to you. We're gonna chant it back. So you can gather, if it makes you feel better, gather like 5 people and do that. It doesn't have to be just 2 of you. Do whatever makes you feel good. But remember, courage is courageous. Courage is contagious.
That's what it is. There we go. That's good.
Yes. Did you get it? Okay, so okay. Right. That's right. Okay. It's just a lot. All right, Grace is gonna teach us the first chant. All right, so we've got a really simple one. The first one is, hey ho, hey, Donald Trump has got to go. And then our second one here is purposeful freedom for all. You can choose one thing. So if you came up with 2 or more, you as a group can choose which one you want to change. Just so we get out of here in time for everybody. Here, great, okay. Hey ho, Donald Trump has got to go. are the people, we are the people. And there's the people, we are the people. I think it is. You are the people, we are the people. People, we are the people. Down here.
No kings, no KKK, no fascist USA.
No kings, no KKK, no fascist USA. Okay, they did. They said they were talking too much.
Okay, okay, so this is what we came up with, you ready? The people united will never be divided.
The people united will never be divided. Fascism defeated will never be repeated. Fascism defeated will never be repeated.
Unite, unite, band together and fight. Unite, unite, band together and fight.
Well, Lisa wants to do fire something.
No kings, no tyrants, no billionaire class.
No kings, no tyrants, no billionaire class.
Well, ours is a rhyme. But it's democracy rules, kings don't. Democracy rules, kings don't.
Thank you. All right. You're taking, okay, you give a pen. There's I'm led down from.
Great.
Yeah, so take your index cards with you. And Meryl just had a couple of quick things. We're about to wrap it up. Thank you. Okay, I am Meryl. I'm one of the team leads for the communications team. And I'm just gonna give a really quick update. I'll keep this short. Basically, at our last meeting, I heard some really good feedback about reaching out not just to local media like I have been doing, but also statewide and nationwide. So that effort is ongoing. I did some coverage of our Labor Day protests I attempted to send it to the Rachel Maddow show, which someone had specifically recommended. Unfortunately, that it did not get picked up that time, but I'm going to try again after No Kings on October 18th. We'll see how that goes. And then, thank you. And then, yeah, just really quick on No Kings, I will be on site in Marietta and I'm going to be conducting video interviews with organizers as well as protesters. If you see me, I'll have my camera and I'll have my gimbal kind of thing, like what Amanda has here, just a little tripod. So I will be there. I would love to talk to folks about why they're there that day. If you don't want to do a video interview, just say no, thank you. I will move along. I promise. But if you are willing, I'd love to talk to you, get a quick little video interview, and that will be repurposed for post-event media coverage. So that's all that I've got.
Yep, Eric.
Over here. All right, through there.
Very quickly intersect really this time. I noticed a lot of you were asking about air quality monitors. We've discussed this at almost every meeting where I've been. So I wanted to point out that we are still trying to secure funding to buy those in bulk. The reason where it's so important to us to secure at Mid-Ohio Valley Climate Action, secure grant funding to purchase those in bulk is there's a 10% discount when you do so. And you can purchase them in larger numbers. But you can, and this is always an option, you can go to the Purple Air website and purchase the monitors outright yourselves. Now, they do run approximately $250, so it's not a cheap thing to do. But if you do decide to do that, or if you decide to purchase them and donate them to someone else who might want one, and you're comfortable doing that, you can always get in touch with me, Eric Engel. Should have said my name in the beginning, right? And, we'll help you, we'll schedule a time to help you get it installed and set up to where it's appearing on the Purple Air monitor map. So I really wanted to point that out. You can purchase them on your own, or you can purchase them and donate to other people, but there is a group discount. So we're still seeking grant funding through multiple organizations that we hope to secure by this month to help purchase air quality monitors and get more installed throughout the Mid-Ohio Valley. And the only other thing I was going to say to you real quickly tonight is that if you haven't heard, there was a letter sent to Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, the House and Senate minority leaders with the Democratic Party, called No Bad Budget in Our Name. And it was sent by the Federal Unionists Network, as well as 35 other union organizations that were sponsors. And what this letter said was about the shutdown that we're currently undergoing. And just to quote from the letter in a way that sums it up, it says, "We, the undersigned federal worker unions and organizations, implore you to reject any bad budget deal in the name of protecting federal employees. We are directly impacted when the government shuts down. Our members would no longer be able to work, get paid, or fulfill their mission of serving the American public. But we believe the most important thing is fighting against the centralization of executive power and for the long-term survival of the critical services the federal government provides, even if that means allowing the government to temporarily shut down. Next year's budget must ensure," that's next fiscal year's budget, which we're in right now, "must ensure adequate funding for critical public services, guarantee that appropriated funds are spent to provide those services, and oppose the Trump administration's effort to further weaken the programs, protections, and services that tens of millions of Americans rely upon." So I wanted to point out to you that, I'm very proud to be a federal employee union member and chief steward today, because I got a chance to read that letter from the Federal Unionist Network, from the sponsoring unions. Basically that, millions of federal employees are being impacted, but federal employee unions have come forward and said, as hard as it is, we're willing to risk that impact to save American democracy. So if we need you to stand with federal employee unions today like never before. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, we're done, except one quick question. We wonder, with just a show of hands, how many of you would be interested in having a get-together, like later in October, maybe after the rally, to just kind of talk? Won't be a meeting, just get together and talk and get to know each other a little better. All right, okay, we'll come up with ideas and watch social media. We'll post about that. Maybe we'll know by the 18th and we can tell you then. That would be great.
Alcohol.
I
suggest alcohol.
Oh, yeah. Being alcohol. So please grab some snacks on your way out, grab the papers on the table, and Lisa has a bunch of postcards up here that you can take and just send to your elected officials, anyone you want. And the order form for the merchandise is also up here. So take your time going out and
pick up all those things, please, and thank you so much for coming. We can't wait to see you on the 18th.
All right. Big call, thanks for being here. Okay. Here. Thank you guys for Facebook, YouTube, and Zoom. We had done this.